Welcome back to another episode of the Practice Players Podcast. Today we're joined by head coach Kevin Kruger of the UNLV Running Rebels. Coach, it's great to have you on.
Thank you guys for having me.
And just for the viewers who don't know much of your story or want to know more, if you just want to, share your basketball story and let the viewers know how you got here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the basketball story. I'm not sure how much time we got, but it's been an interesting one. Uh, how we got here specifically, the short version of it, I had the opportunity to play, played in college, played professionally for 6 years. Knew I wanted to get into basketball actually at that point. My dad being a coach, and I knew I wanted to be in it, but wasn't really sure which direction, honestly. Not something that um, really it was kind of assumed I was going to get into coaching, but actually got to spend a summer with the San Antonio Spurs for summer league, and really liked the front office side of basketball as well. But an opportunity opened up with Vegas native Jack Murphy at Northern Arizona on the coaching side, so went that route. Had 2 years there, 3 at Oklahoma, 2 years here as an assistant, and then had the opportunity to be the head coach here, and that's kind of where we're at, just on that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, if you will.
And going to your playing side, you got to play for Rob Evans at Arizona State for 3 years when it was the Pac-10, I believe. Mm-hmm. So what were some of those favorite playing memories like down there in sunny Arizona?
Yeah, well, so the Practice Players Podcast, I'm honored to be on it because I was a practice player. I was at ASU for 4 years and redshirted my first year, and got the opportunity to be the Nick Walters of Arizona State for a year, which was, I don't know if how much Nick has told you, but it's kind of the first few months are great or rough, when you're doing the conditioning and you're doing all but once like season starts, I mean, I don't know if there's a better gig. You have no real accountability as long as you try, and you just get to shoot. If you get the lucky straw and be a scorer for the other team, you get to shoot all the balls. And if you get to be the main guy, you get to dribble and do, have as much fun as possible. And so it did that there, then played for 3 years, and Coach Evans just, when you just a rock solid person. He just when he says something, he's not going to waver. He's not going to change. It was great for me personally, just on a growing up level. Of course, my freshman year, my redshirt year, there was frustrations. Why do we do this? Why is coach like that? You kind of have that, but then sophomore year rolls around, a few more things make sense. Junior year, and then fourth year, you kind of see why things are done, and I was really glad and lucky that I was able to go play for him. But it's the memories of, and as you guys and as Nick will, as time goes on, it's not even necessarily the basketball memories. We had some great wins at ASU. We had some great moments, but it really is like the like getting stuck in the elevator in New Jersey. Like those are the ones that the next time, you go 10 years without seeing somebody, and you see each other, and you kind of recall one of those non-basketball stories, and it takes you right back. And those are the memories I have with those guys. And one of my teammates was in my wedding, one of my teammates from ASU. So we stayed together. You stay close, and but yeah, I mean the memories of course we had the tough games against UCLA, Arizona, SC, that overtime games. Those are all great. Those are all fun, but it's the ones where somebody does something funny, or during a practice or during a road trip, that those memories are the ones that stick with you forever. And those are the ones that kind of keep those friendships going for really for the rest of your life.
And speaking on Coach Kruger practice player days, who would win in that one-on-one in your prime, you versus prime Nick Walters?
Prime Nick versus prime me. Well, you guys got to see prime Nick, if I'm not mistaken. when he was I'm not
We
your words, not mine.
Let's
When
just
he was
say
cooking DJ. Your
retired and one got to play. One got to play 6 years professionally. One's retired.
Let's just say we were different players. We were different we had different styles. Nick's probably more of a scorer. You know, he was more of a, as you saw in the highlights, he's more of a put the ball in the hole kind of guy. You know, the clear out. You know, the Kobe. You know, get out of the way. You know, he was asking for people to come guard him.
Well, I was gonna say the only reason Nick would have a chance in that 1v1 is because you don't have to pass to other people. See, Coach, you were a really good passer. You know, averaged 5 assists a game in college. Nick wouldn't have to pass in 1-on-1, so that would maybe give him a little bit slight of
I might have been able to get Nick in the assist to turnover battle. But no, when it came to FGAs, I mean, Nick got him up. Nick was out there calling people out. I mean, I don't know.
I got him up.
I
got all the clips too.
Might have been a coin toss, you know.
We'll leave it at the coin toss.
We'll leave it at a 50-50. If you ask Nick's mom and dad, I'm sure it's Nick. If you ask my mom and dad, maybe they'll say me. We'll just leave it at that one.
Yeah.
So what was it like playing for your dad that last year at college and coming to Vegas? And also, what were your thoughts about Vegas before you came here for that 5th year?
So my thoughts about Vegas really were UNLV. Growing up in a basketball house, growing up in a basketball family, you know, obviously that, you know, kind of similar to you, Daniel, where, you know, growing up in the sports and in the basketball world, like you did, it's the only difference is when I was growing up, it was truly the only. I mean, Las Vegas meant I didn't know a thing. You know, when you're not, especially when you're not 18, you're not 21. There's nothing for you to do down on the strip except walk around and kind of be impressed by the lights. But so for me, I mean, it was UNLV basketball. It was, you know, it was Larry Johnson. It was Greg Anthony, Stacey Ogman. It was, you know, those were the guys that those are my first memories of, I would have been 6 or 7 around that time. Those were my first memories. I can remember being Greg Anthony in my driveway, you know, and those are my first real memories of the national, you know, this was in Florida. Right. And here, when I was a kid in Florida watching UNLV basketball back, I mean, they truly were the national brand of college basketball. Cause this is before Duke kind of started their run. This is, I mean, Carolina, of course, had been going for a while, but that's kind of was my thought. And when my dad got the job, I believe it was the summer of 2004, that was really solidified when I came up here and kind of saw, you know, that it had been a couple of years since they went to the tournament. There was an anxiety, like we've always talked about, you know, the good and the bad of Las Vegas is their love, how they love the Rebels. You know, Nick, as you got to experience this year, how you're loved. You're loved. Sometimes you're loved harshly, and sometimes you're loved with a lot of hugs. But even back then, you know, it was truly the sports fabric. You know, UNLV as an athletic department was the sports fabric of the town. And but I recognized that. I got to saw it. Obviously, being still at Arizona State, I got to, you know, follow him, watch him, talk to him. But then when I got to come up here and play, it was truly. I mean, obviously, I can't put into words what it was. I mean, for the rest of my life, as it, you know, going on even afterwards, you don't really realize it. You know, Allie, my wife Allie, and I, you know, we got 3 little ones, so we see those Instagram memes about you spend, what is it, like 87% of your time with your kids before they leave high school, and we see that, you know, we both start crying like, oh my God, it's almost over, you know, even though our oldest one's 4, but like, you know, I leave for college thinking, all right, you know, this is normal. You go to college and you get married and you move on, you know. Then I get the opportunity to come back. Then I and play with him. It's with him as a coach. It was just beyond blessed, really, and lucky, fortunate. And as I start to add up more years in the business, I think it makes it even that much more special, because it's not going to be replicated unless somehow I'm coaching when Maxwell's playing. And college, but it was special. It was fun. As you guys have you seen? I mean, you guys got to see it even firsthand, a taste of it when we kind of went on a run there at the end of this year. How quickly things changed, and how the support, like we said, that love went from like, man, I really want you guys to win. I really hope you win. To you guys are awesome. You guys are doing great. We love you. We're there, and so I got to experience that, and really kind of lucky it was in Vegas, because I don't know if there's a lot of other programs that have that same history and have this same kind of experience over even the last 30 years. For 30 years, for 20 years, nobody could touch UNLV. I mean, they were literally, I mean, we have a banner that says Tark won 83% of his games. I mean, it's insane. That's nuts. And then, obviously we've had some up and down years, and so to kind of be a part of that, and kind of be a part of that winning streak, and the momentum was pretty awesome. And then to get to see my mom and dad after every game was that much more special.
And then sort of that full circle moment, what does it mean to you now, playing here, your dad coaching here, all the family ties, to have that UNLV head coach title and all the burdens that come with that? What does that mean to you?
Well, it's special. I mean, it's having the opportunity to work at Northern Arizona, work at Oklahoma. Obviously Oklahoma's a national brand. They have a great tradition and history and support there as well. But having put on the uniform before, knowing what it's like to go out there, knowing what it's like, because after a tough loss, and we experienced every emotion you could experience this year, right? We have we know we're going to be good in the summer. We have some injuries. We've got to change some things around. We stub our toe right out of the gate. We go on a run. We, beat Creighton. We have a great opening to conference. Then we drop a home game. Obviously, we shouldn't have dropped. Then we turn it around. We covered every single emotion and feeling that you could. But it's different because I know exactly, what they're experiencing. Now I know, if I was coaching it, somewhere in Canada, I would still know how they feel, but I wouldn't know exactly what it's like when they leave the arena, when they wake up and walk back over here, when they cross people in town, when they come across students on campus. Now, luckily we didn't have social media, but I know what's said. I don't have to read your messages to know what's being said to you guys after a loss. I don't have to read them to know what's being said after a win. And so it just adds a layer, I think, of drive and just a determination that to want to get it done here, all that much more.
Talking about that drive and determination, the challenges of playing in the G League and overseas are a lot of challenges that people outside wouldn't know about. If you want to talk about those experiences, and what do you remember most, sort of the challenges and difficulties that came with that?
Yeah, that's another one of those things. The G League is a great learning kind of opportunity. That's really just kind of what it's there for, right? Is the opportunity to get better, be seen by NBA guys, be around NBA people. I think my time as a player in the G League, or the then D League, now G League, I got very lucky. I was invited to Orlando when I left UNLV, or the Orlando Magic was my only summer league invite. I think I had 8 or 9 NBA workouts, which was great. It was fun. It was an unbelievable experience, but they weren't really, it's not like they were going to draft me. I remember in Portland, it worked out, and that was the year I was in the Odin Durant draft. For those people that are old enough to remember that far ago, which I don't know if you guys are or not, but and I remember Nate sitting down with Nate McMillan after the workout and him saying, "Well, we're not going to take you at 1." I said, that's understandable. It's like, and it was a lighthearted way to kind of start the meeting. But I knew where I was. I think luckily having the mentors that I've had in my life, I think I was still pretty realistic about my pro aspirations. But the Orlando Magic invited me to their summer league with an opportunity to play. You get a couple teams that are like, well, yeah, sure, bring him out, because not everybody makes the summer league roster. I think that's something that a lot of people don't really know. Like, being invited and making a summer league roster with an opportunity to play is a great step. And so having that opportunity, I think I was very lucky that they had brought in somebody else and kind of thought maybe he could play some point. But they had JJ Redick, who was in his second year. Marcin Gortat was who hadn't been brought over officially. James Augustine. The next year they had Courtney Lee. They had these younger guys that they wanted to get the ball to. And fortunately for me, none of them were point guards. So, I just kind of tried to do what was asked, dribble it up, give it to JJ, give it to Augustine, give it to Gortat, give it to these guys and make a shot if I'm open, and just kind of fit in where I can. And again, luckily it was enough to get an invite to the training camp. So I got to my first taste there, but again, I still think I was kind of naive to it all, just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what normally happens. Oh, okay, this is what normally happens. And had a really good chance to make that team. But there was an injury to a big guy. So there was me and a big guy were the only guys that were left at the end of the day, toward the end of camp. And there was an injury to a guy named Tony Battie. I don't know if I would have been kept anyway, but that pretty much kind of sealed my fate there in Orlando for that fall. Went to the G League, and I was drafted by the now, they moved out now, but the now Utah Flash, or the then Utah Flash. And, Jerry Sloan had seen us in Utah. And I was so unbelievably lucky to be in that organization at that time, because all the horror stories you hear about the minor league basketball, the D League, the G League back then, there's truth to them. It's just, you can be in a locker room with people who are just, there's not going to be any relationship. There's not going to be any communication. They are there. It's a job. It is and as you guys know, and my family, we enjoy the relationship side of things. We enjoy kind of knowing people and being on a team and being on the same page. And Utah was like that. So it had a great feel. Jerry Sloan would come up and back. He'd talk to us. He'd invite us down for practice. The head coach, Brad Jones, at that time, his assistant, Kevin Young, you might recognize that name, who was just hired at BYU. It was a very good atmosphere, a very good situation. It was in Provo, Utah, which at that time was actually great, because we had just beat BYU in the Mountain West Conference championship game. So I got to walk around there with UNLV stuff very proudly, and just kind of subtle brag all day over there. But yeah, I got very lucky in that experience to be there. But it's a job. It's an opportunity to play. I think if I was to give myself any advice back at that age, it's everything you do is seen. And it's not one of those cliches of what you do in the dark comes out in the light. That's obviously true too. But when you're walking to get groceries, when you're walking, anything can be seen at any time. And it's not like I was out like robbing banks or anything, but just like, it's just one of those reminders. Like, if you're going to go somewhere, how do you want to dress? When somebody sees you that doesn't know you, what do you want them to think of you? And, it's just little things. I think I maybe wouldn't do a million things differently, but I'd just be aware of those things. And that and European basketball sure provide some great stories for sure.
I want to ask you on a couple more good stories you probably have. As a kid, you had an untraditional childhood, obviously with your dad coaching a lot of different places and having a lot of different jobs across the country. What was that like growing up in having such a different childhood from people around you, and having no stuck home, just kind of traveling around everywhere? What was that like as a kid?
Well, I don't know any different. So, it's kind of, I wouldn't say the four of us are any different. We all kind of had our childhoods, and I'm kind of told what normal was, and what kind of, but yeah, obviously my dad didn't have a traditional 9 to 5, and uh, but looking back on it, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah, we moved around. We had some, we were uh, we were always at the mercy of the recruiting calendar or the schedule or or this, that, or the other. Like, I'm glad my wife's not on here, and she would be an interesting one to ask, because she's kind of started to learn like the basketball side. Like our first Thanksgiving, was in Portland, Oregon, at the PK80, and she just didn't understand, because, as you know, in the sports world, holidays and birthdays, they're just kind of days. Outside of Christmas, it's kind of, unless your birthday falls in the summer, it's just one of those things. And like childbirth, for example, we got to experience that one this year at Colorado State, and those are just things that that are a little bit different. But I joke with people when they talk about this, that we never once went on a family vacation. Like, we never put the four of us, Angie, my mom, my dad, we never got in a car and drove on a vacation and stayed in a hotel and did the whole tourist thing. And when they kind of look at me, I'm like, well, but hold on, we went all around the world. We got to see everything that there was to see. I mean, every place you could want to go as a family. There was just a 2-hour basketball practice kind of mixed into it, or a game mixed into it. So there's that aspect of it. But like I said, I wouldn't trade it for the world. We were incredibly fortunate, loving parents. My sister was like a third parent to me. So I truly was lucky in that regard, and enjoyed it. Luckily, I like basketball. If I would have hated basketball or hated sports, it might have been a little rougher, but I enjoyed doing it, and mom and sister enjoyed it. So really was lucky.
And how do you feel like that childhood experience, seeing your dad balance all that, has helped you as a father sort of balance that work versus family life?
Yeah, it's truly one of those things where it's not to say anything, or try to be disrespectful in any way towards anything, but moving over, a lot of people told me, like, when you move, they say, those 18 inches, right? When you talk about moving from that assistant chair to the head chair, those 18 inches, like, it's a little move, but it's a big move. And there's a lot of truth to that. Just in terms of, there's things you always say you want to do. And I'm sure you guys did it as a group too. Like, on our podcast, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. All right. And then you get one, and it's like, okay, well, we got to, you got to adjust. You got to call audibles. And I think in the coaching world, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, well, when I'm a head coach, I'm going to do this and this and this. And you do some of it, and some things you realize it's not better for the whole group. And I'm sure Nick can tell you stories about, I don't know, God, like, I don't know what coach was doing. I don't know why would we do that? Like, it makes no sense. And then when you get a little older, hopefully, or get on the coaching side, you kind of see, like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's why we did this or that. And it's totally normal, right? We all did it. We all do it. But seeing him and the way he balanced it, I think, helps a lot. He was, or is, he's a great father. He's become my best friend. But yeah, even when I'm a kid, it's like we talked about with the calendar, it's like, birthday, he wasn't there. My senior night in high school, not there. But what people don't see is, they don't see us shooting in the gym. The next day, just me and him. Like, that was where we bonded, throwing the baseball. We just play catch for hours, those types of things. And just trying to do that as best I can, because at the end of the day, what people see is one thing, but how you are thought of by your family is really all that matters.
Talk a little bit about your experience being a GA at Northern Arizona, and what that was kind of like.
Well, my GA was at Oklahoma, but
Okay.
my first opportunity coaching it was at Northern Arizona, and I loved it. I don't know if you guys have been to Flagstaff, but I loved Flagstaff. I thought it was great. It was obviously a college town, but definitely the first time I had gone up there, I went up there to meet with Coach Murph, and it was May. Would have been in May, and I had to stop. I flew into Vegas and drove, and we had to stop because of a hailstorm once I got up the mountain. And then the sun, an hour later I went in and met with him. I come out and it's sun shining and it's 75 degrees or 80 degrees. And so I got the true all 4 seasons in a day part of Flagstaff on day one. But being at NAU, it was a great start. It was a great opportunity. It's a very good league. We had 2 guys in the 2 years I was at NAU. We had 2 guys actually end up in the NBA with Joel Blomboy and a kid from Eastern Washington, McBride. So in a very challenging league, very good league, and travel's tough though. Travel's tough. Getting from Flagstaff, Arizona to Missoula, Montana, and at that time North Dakota. They moved to conferences, but that was the toughest part. But everything else was really good about it.
And then transferring from those assistant coach days to now obviously being a head coach, what's one major difference or sort of key factor that a lot of people might not think of that's very different between the 2 jobs?
I think as an assistant, you kind of have it can be a little more not like check the box, but a little more of kind of a checklist. It's like, and they're not specific things, because like one of those things is the relationship with this group or my position group or this that. So it's not that it necessarily is just kind of like a go and fill out a page or paperwork. It's things that have to be done, and as the head coach, it's just kind of all of those things are just kind of a part of it. It's I remember the feeling I remember having as an assistant is when we would have those recruiting events through the summer. You go, you spend 3, 4, 5 days. You watch as many games as you can. You take as many notes as you can. You talk to as many people as you can. But then by the end of the week, or the weekend, when you get on the plane to go home, you can kind of almost take a little bit of a sigh of relief. Like, all right, those 4 days I've done my work. This is my job. This is my main focus, to bring in guys. I think that the first time I got on a plane as a head coach, after I sat down, and I kind of remember kind of waiting for that, like that big sigh of relief. Like, okay, now I can throw on a movie. Now I can read something. Now I can do this. But you immediately go to the pad and paper. Like, all right, well, if this guy signs, when are we bringing this kid on a visit? If he commits, what's this kid gonna do? We got to make sure to, massage this guy's ego, right? Because they're not the same player, but we need them both. And like, you start kind of going down that rabbit hole, and but that's what it is. I mean, it's just 24/7 thoughts go toward the team, and just how things going to work. How can we keep everyone happy? How can everyone have an opportunity? How do we make the team as good as possible? And but that's it's kind of a never-ending thing, in a good way though. We enjoy it, and luckily, I think from the coaching seat, at least, we brought in 3 years now pretty good guys. You're not going to love every single person every single second, but at the same time, I think as a whole, we've had pretty good locker rooms.
With this job in particular, you need to have a stable support system, and you vocalized how important your family is. I mean, I've been around your family. They're unbelievable. If you want to just talk about the importance of your family and kind of how they've shaped you as a coach, but more importantly as a person.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything in my day begins and ends with my wife, Allie, our 4-year-old Cammie, 2-year-old Viv, and now almost 4-month-old Maxwell. And I mean, everything starts and ends with them. And but they certainly help, with everything. It's something where, like I said earlier, you just regardless wins, losses on the court, how they remember me during this time is 10 times more important. And when we're frustrated, and I mean, Allie will tell you after the Air Force game, I don't think I spoke for like 10 days. Like, I mean, it was just, even though we had won games, and it was just like, I just go home and kind of stare at the ground, and hearing that, it hurts to hear. It's not something I like. I wish I would have reacted different, but at the same time, had she kind of was there, and just kind of knew what I was going through, and able to just kind of always be there and keep our life kind of going. I mean, the house doesn't stay standing if she's not around. So we like to joke that I don't know if I can be able to get out of bed, without her help. So she helps me figure that out every day. So, but there's a lot of truth to that. But then, on the growing up side, yeah, I think it's as much as anything, my mom and my sister. Me being frustrated or being a kid, making stupid decisions, making good decisions, they were always there, especially to kind of help be guide rails. Obviously my dad doing what he did put us in a little bit of a spotlight, in small college towns, especially, when you're the head basketball coach at Illinois, it's a big time fan base, and there's probably a lot of similarities to here in Vegas. It's people are going to recognize the name, and it's not the most common last name in the world either. So, it's something that I think you just kind of got to remember that. But for mom and sister to kind of, if I got in trouble at school, they make sure to, talk to me if I did something well. They make sure to reinforce that, and them kind of be there and just help me through everything. It was I think I remember an article a couple of years ago that I believe Dana O'Neill wrote it from ESPN about my dad being the nicest guy in college basketball. And, and there's a lot of truth to that, I think. And you guys have all gotten a chance to meet him. He's an incredibly nice person. So you try to follow that lead, and him being kind of the leader and the most visual person in our family. We do our best and try to make that work as much as possible. But that, just as much as anything, just the family life was just really solid. I wasn't even when I was a kid and being mischievous and doing certain stupid things, even I knew where the line was, right? And if I ever got close to it, they'd make sure I knew, and that would kind of be the end of that. But I just think having that strong, obviously strong parents, but then even as much as anything, a really strong sister, older sibling, to really reinforce everything was I was, again, just about as lucky as I could get.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the transfer portal and just get a little of your taste on it and how it hurts young players. Do you think that it hurts young players? And if so, how do you think that problem can be addressed?
Oh gosh. Okay. So now we're getting into it. All right. We can edit this though, right? So like if I say something really stupid, that we can.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just like ad lib over my mouth. I want to make sure I word it right. I do. I think it the portal with the combination of the unlimited transfers. I think, in my opinion, and this is a knee-jerk reaction on May 10th, because it just passed, even though we've kind of seen it anyway, I think it will, in 5 years, the landscape of high school basketball, I will be very curious to see, or I am very curious to see, like, where will we be at? I mean, will a kid from Coronado High School have any chance of being seen versus are the prep schools just going to completely dominate all the talent, and that kind of become, if you want kids that are ready for college? Because if we're being honest, if you guys are sitting in a coaching seat, you need this, that, or the other. If you're going to bring in a freshman, he probably needs to have a certain level of maturity, understanding it's going to probably be an older roster, because you can transfer as many times as you want. So like it's just kind of one of those things. I think we've gotten to the point now, we'll be entering year 4. We had great retention this spring. I think that's what we want to be. We want to be guys that bring in. Brooklyn Hicks is a perfect example, right? But bring in somebody, play a little bit, learn from your mistakes, develop, get better, have a bigger role, because the more you invest in it, the more you're going to care about it. So, year 2, year 3, year 4 for Brooklyn, if he's at UNLV, which hopefully he is, by that time, he's going to have the same feeling that we talk about that I have for UNLV. That nothing, people don't talk bad about UNLV around me. It's just, I don't put up with it. There's a lot of pride in that jersey. There's a lot of pride in my time here. But that comes from, putting in the hours and the work. So I think it'll be interesting. Now, on the flip side of it, we've become European basketball, right? I mean, I got to play over there off and on for 6 years. I was never even offered a 2-year deal except for one place, and you don't take it because your value might be much greater in the spring and in the summer. And that's kind of what we've done. What we've kind of turned college basketball into is, don't sign anything multi-year. Don't expect to be there 2 years, because next spring you might be worth twice as much as what you're getting now. And that part's unfortunate. I do think we've eliminated the college experience as we know it. Like those stories and those memories of getting stuck in elevators and and all of that stuff. They're just going to be fewer and farther between, and they're going to be more spread out. And some guys are going to have those opportunities with 4 different groups of players, which I wish it was a little bit later. I think 18 to 22 it's a really tough thing to put on an 18 to 22-year-old to try to make financial life decisions at that age, because we don't have the infrastructure in place to explain what this money does, how much will this money grow, where is it going to go, how are you going to invest it, how are you going to do, like, $10,000 at 18 years old is really not life changing. Unless you're going to put every single dollar away you make and it's going to be consistent. You got all these factors, and I'm hoping we can get better at it. But yeah, I mean, how could we fix it? I honestly don't know. I'm not opposed to a multi-year contract that would bind kids to schools, so that they could at least you could at least have time to butt heads with each other and grow and get better and have uncomfortable conversations and have uncomfortable workouts, to where it's February, you have a fight with a player, or not a fight, but you have a disagreement, and that's it, right? It's more than likely over at that point. And just whatever we could do to kind of continue to strengthen that bond, so that it's not just looked at as a 9-month rental or a 9-month experience, because I think the relationship aspects of college are still the value in that. When people talk about going to college, like why, we don't need college anymore. I couldn't disagree more. I think the social aspects, the networking aspects, the experiences that you go through from 18 to 22, 23 are far more valuable for 99% of the college athlete landscape than any money that could be made. But there's still that 1%. I want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, and talking about sort of recruiting now, you guys have done a phenomenal job of keeping the best in Vegas these last few years. What does it mean to you? I mean, University of Nevada, yeah. So what does it mean to you to keep those Vegas kids, Deaton Thomas, Jalen Hill, Isaiah Cottrell, and most notably Nick Walters, wearing those Rebel red and white?
Is it Vegas, Nick?
I mean, it is Vegas. I claim Henderson because that's I just grew up in Henderson. I'm not a Summerlin kid, you know what I mean? I didn't grow up over there.
Okay.
I know, DJ claims Vegas, and he went to Liberty. That's in Henderson. I don't know. I don't know.
Hendertucky?
It's
a little Hendertucky for you, mate?
Yep.
No, it was a focal point the day we got the job. But we knew that through nobody's fault. No, there's nothing where you could say it's this person's fault. We got to change. We knew we just needed a better relationship, I think, with the high schools, the middle schools in the city. And I think that comes though from just, of course, being out there recruiting, but then also the guys on the court, being teams that the fan base is proud of, that the fan base likes. Nick, your team this year, I mean, we can't go anywhere now without people talking about the finish and how you guys, fought through adversity all year and had it was the best finish in 11 years, right? I mean, it was a great accomplishment, and I think the trickle down effect that has locally makes it a lot easier for us because now you got middle school kids right now growing up saying they want to be like DJ. You got growing up, I want to be like Jalen. Obviously, of course, growing up, I want to be like Nick. But like you've got these where their favorite player is a rebel. It's a local rebel, and not just a rebel, but a local rebel. And that's there's a lot of weight there. I think even going back to when we were playing here in 2007, you talk about the effect locally. Anthony Marshall, guys like that wanted to stick around. His favorite team. He remembers going to our games when he was 10 years old. Those types of things are there's just so much value there and so much pride that comes from it, not only from our end, but I think also on the players' end, because it's what you guys see every day. And Vegas is a great place to make home, right? I mean, you can live here for the rest of your life, and you can do anything you want. You want to run a casino? You can do that in Vegas. You want to run a hospitality company, marketing? You want to be in sports? I mean, what can't you do in Las Vegas? And so being a player here and having a good time and a good experience here it really does set you up for life, even though, as cliche as that is, and it's on a brochure somewhere, I'm sure, but but there's a lot of truth to it in a city like Vegas. So having Vegas kids is very important for us. And Henderson.
Well, really quick before we get to our sports movie draft, if you are a little kid out there in Las Vegas, dream bigger than being Nick Walters for me.
All right.
Dream to be Isaiah Cottrell, dream to be Jalen Hill. No, Nick Walters is. You can dream to be the person that Nick Walters is. That I can dream for. Nick Walters is a great human being. But the basketball aspect.
You put Nick's highlights on YouTube?
We have. But
I made after the DJ episode, I made a reel of him cooking your starting point guard in practice that the public can see. So I think dreaming of Nick Walters is a good goal for any local kid trying to make an impact.
Nick, you got to talk to Ricky and Maddie, because if we can make a highlight video for Pete Davidson in an hour with music and with and Pete Davidson could play some basketball now. He was okay, but we made him look like a 10-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Nick, I mean, if Ricky and Maddie throw a highlight tape together for you, I mean, you might have a statue next to Tark.
I think I could sit in that chair right next to him.
There you go, Ricky and Maddie. I hope they see this. We got to send it to them. That's our next recruiting mail out.
Well, all right. Let's get to our every week we do a storyline of the day, or we do something at the end of the episode. And today we'll do something we've never done before, and that's a sports movie draft.
Okay.
So the rules are pretty simple. Coach will let you go first, and we'll just go back and forth. It'll be you versus the practice players, and each of us will get 5 picks. So we'll disperse it up between ourselves, but you'll get 5 picks, we'll get 5 picks, and it can be any sport, any year. There's no restriction. It can be any sport, any year, and we'll post our draft to our socials, and we'll see who the public think did a better job. So we'll let you start, and we'll just go back and forth, but a lot to choose from here at this first selection.
Okay, so before I make so I was thinking about this last night, and I was like, okay, obviously I've got a first pick. Like, this one's easy. But then I started thinking, like, what is our listening base here? Like, what ages would you say that
I would say the consensus is like anybody from maybe high school on to like around your age, maybe. age
Around
17 to. I won't repeat your age, but
we'll just ballpark my age as in like not near high school.
just that like an adult, an adult, an adult's what would we'll put that general scope.
Huh. Wow. Well, now I'm a little torn. I had a clear cut winner, and now I'm a little nervous. I don't want your mom and dad to get mad at me. So
DJ will be listening this far too. That's 100% guarantee.
yeah, I don't. Yeah. There's a. You know what? I'm gonna go with this one, and it's a. You can call me whatever you want, but I think it's the most feel good moment in any movie of any kind, sports or non-sports, but it is sports, and that's The Rookie with Dennis Quaid.
I'm gonna take over here for us. This constitutes. I feel like it's legendary. He has steps named after it, even though my Knicks just dismantled this city. With our first pick, we're gonna go with the original Rocky.
Rocky 1. Wait, it's you 3 against me?
Yeah, but like we get 5 picks as a team.
We get 5 picks like between us 3, so we'll each pick twice or once, but you'll get to pick 5 times.
Okay. Okay, that opens it up a little bit more. I was thinking that I was gonna have to go a little farther down the. The original Rock. So wait, who wins though? Like, what are we going for? Like, just like
Whatever the public decides.
Whatever the public decides is who the winner will be.
Okay. Well, so season is the American Cancer Society's Coaches vs. Cancer Golf Classic is coming up. Shameless plug right there. And so I will take Caddyshack.
Okay. Nick, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can go.
Well, I'll actually stick with golf, and I'll go a more comedic route, and I'll take Happy Gilmore with our second selection.
Sorry, what was that? I cut out for a second.
He took Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, he's going Happy Gilmore.
Oh, great choice. Okay, well, I'm gonna make my first pick. That's kind of, if you're a kid out there in middle school or whatever, like don't watch it yet. Like, give it a couple years. But I'm gonna go with Major League 1, not 2.
All right, I'm gonna go football movie here, and I'm deciding between 2, but I think I'm gonna go The Blind Side, even though there's been a lot of controversy as of recent and with intangibles of that movie.
Michael Orr did not like that movie very much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, not as much as he did, but I thought it was a great movie.
It was entertaining. It was an entertaining movie. Okay, so now we're down to our final 2. Being somewhat younger at the time, it was good. Whether or not he's the greatest player of all time, I'm sure Nick's had that discussion on here before, or on or off the air, because I've heard it upstairs in the mezzanine from the court multiple times. So I'm going to go with the original Space Jam.
The better Space Jam.
Never saw the second one, so I have no idea.
You couldn't have beat it even.
What?
You can't beat the original Space Jam, even if you tried.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, that was a powerful pick. I was wanting to go there. Stole my pick. That's value. Can't believe that fell that far. So we need to go swinging. We need to hit a home run. And with home runs in mind, I think I'm going to match your Space Jam with The Sandlot. I feel like that gives us a lot of juice for our list.
Love that pick. That was going to be my pick at the end.
That's a great pick.
Love it.
That is a good pick. I'll give you
Right
that
in my
one.
mind.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So what? We're at the last one here. Again, though, I feel like I'm hoping, Daniel, that your dad will watch this one and a bunch of his friends will watch this one, because I feel like, I went like what, mid 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s again. Like, if everybody, as you mentioned, if the majority of your following is high school, which kudos, Nick, but I feel like I'm gonna need a more recent one. I haven't seen a lot of movies lately. I'm gonna be honest on that one. Gosh, I'm really torn here. I mean, do I do I go with like the all-time classic here? Like, but then I gotta get your parents to really get all their friends to vote on this if I'm gonna go that direction. So, you know what? What if I deferred this pick to you guys and then came back to my pick?
Okay.
Is that allowed?
Okay. That's allowed.
Okay.
That's allowed. So you can see what I was going to go with, and I actually am going to go with another older movie.
Oh.
I can't not go with this movie because it's one of my dad's favorites, and I want to get the older, because I think we got some of the younger people on our side right now. We have some current ones like Happy Gilmore, a lot of Adam Sandler fans, The Blind Side. That's more recent, but I'm gonna go with another football movie. It's an underdog story. We're gonna take Rudy with our last pick. Give us a strong end there, and I think the public will like that one.
That is a great pick. Okay. Well, since we've clearly gone with like the, as you mentioned, older group, I'm going to go with my last pick. It's definitely not a home run like Rudy. I'll give you that. Like, that was a great job, great pick. I'm gonna go with Bull Durham. Am I back? Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, I said it. I'm gonna go with Bull Durham. Have you guys seen Bull Durham?
I have not.
All right.
Wait, what was it? I sorry, you cut out.
I'm gonna go with Bull Durham. I'm sorry, do I keep cutting out?
Yeah. Wait, what is it?
Bull Durham.
Oh, Bull Durham. I have not seen that movie.
Are we going to get canceled for none of us being able to see that movie?
I don't think it's got too many foul words for you guys. I think you're old enough to watch most of these. So that's why, through
Bull
space.
Durham. Bull Durham.
I mean, you guys can watch most of these, right?
Oh, it's a baseball movie.
Yeah. That's not good if we had to all look it up. But
Okay, so for the viewers, when we post this, give us we'll have a poll of which list you guys like better and select that. But the five, just to remind us, the five that Coach Kruger took were The Rookie, Caddyshack, Major League One, Space Jam, and Bull Durham.
Space Jam
5 that the practice played. Space Jam 1. Yes, Space Jam 1 with Michael Jordan as a star. The PPP team took Rocky 1, Happy Gilmore, The Blind Side, The Sandlot, and Rudy. So we'll post those and get a public opinion on whose we like better. But one last thing before we sign off is, Coach, do you have any questions for the practice players before we sign off?
Oh, so I just get to grill Nick right here?
Yeah, just any questions for us.
Okay. Well, no. Yeah, I would say, what is it? How much fun are you guys having together doing this?
Who wants to
Who
answer?
wants? I will let Dave answer that.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'll be the spokesperson for us. No, I mean, it's been a blast. I mean, we've been, part of my language, bullshitting with each other back and forth on FaceTimes probably since like our Nick and my sophomore year, Dan's freshman year. And the idea came to us like a year and a half ago. And we're just like, I mean, we already do this. We all have solid connections. I feel like some of the conversations we have actually have meaning. And the ones that don't, we sort of keep off air, plus the language that's used. So figured, why not have a fun way to come together, have different guests, share different minds, and someone out there listening can gain value from it, then that'd be awesome. But I mean, 2 of my closest friends were all involved in basketball, so it's a ton of fun for me.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just to second that. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's been fun. I appreciate you guys having me on. And Nick, what's your favorite memory from this year?
Basketball related or not basketball related? Because they're two different.
Yeah, non-basketball.
It's
basketball related, but not.
It just has to be the elevator. I don't think it could be beaten. That was one of the. I mean, that was, first off, one of the dumbest things that I think I've ever done is get stuck in the back of that elevator when letting everyone just. Because I don't know if you know, but I was the first one in. Like, I was just in the elevator trying to go down. And then all of a sudden, everybody comes in. I'm like, all right, I want to get out. And they're like, nah, bro, chill. We're on the second floor. And then we get stuck. So I was pretty pissed off at everybody for not letting me off. And then for about 10 minutes there, I thought the worst was going to happen. I was just going to die in that elevator.
So you went to that extreme.
Oh, yeah, it was extreme. Plus, I mean, the personalities that was had on that roster. So, there was jokes, there was laughs, and I was not having the jokes for the laughs that were taking place. But when I got off the elevator, we were able to kiss the ground and head to practice. That's probably the best memory, one that'll stick with me.
That'll stick with you.
Yeah, that definitely made me. And I don't know if you know, but me and Jackie were on the 7th floor, and I took the stairs the rest of the trip. So my legs weren't
get your
doing
steps.
the best. I was not playing with that elevator anymore.
That's fair. That is fair.
Well, if that's everything, Coach, thank you so much for hopping on. We really enjoyed the insight, and I'm sure all the viewers are going to be stoked to see that you decided to hop on with us. And if nobody has anything else, I think we can hit the outro.
PPP out. Peace.
Thanks, guys. And Nick, don't be a stranger.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't.